What's up guys, and welcome back to part 2 of our little audio spectrum adventure. Yeah, sounds about right. Today we will turn this into this. For those of you who missed out on part 1, you can probably click somewhere around here to go and watch the video. I'll wait for you, I promise. For those of you who did watch the first video, here's a quick recap of what we have done. So we created a circle, duplicated it, copied the path, created a new layer, pasted the path as mask, add audio spectrum effect, changed some settings, duplicated it, changed some more settings, masked out the inner part, and created some gaps. And there you go. Whew, great. With that out of the way, let's hop into After Effects and figure the rest out. Okay, starting off right where we left. To be able to manipulate the whole animation in the way we intended to, we need to pre-compose it. So select all layers and hit Ctrl, Command, plus Shift and C. Name the comp something like Audio Visu. Okay, so now we want to implement the animation into our image. So let's take our image and drop it into our timeline beneath the audio visu composition. This is an image I took last summer on our weekend in Budapest. Beautiful city, really. You definitely should go there sometime if you haven't already. But anyways, as we want our animation to seem like a part of the image, we turn the composition into a 3D object by ticking this checkbox right here. So we hit R on our keyboard to bring up the rotation specs and work on the X and Y values to turn it in a way we like it. Also scale it up. Something like this might be fine. Move it over until you're to the point where you want it to be. Something like this. Maybe a little too big. Let's scale it down a little bit. Move it. Yeah, something like this looks good to me. But it still is just one layer that lies on top of the other. If our circle was a big-ass three-dimensional object and we were to place it around the chain bridge, some parts would hide behind these pillars, right? So here's what we're gonna do. We duplicate our image layer and mask around everything where we don't want the animation to be visible. This is kind of a lame, time-consuming task, so let me just speed it up a little bit for you. So the masking is done, and as you can see, I did it kind of rough, as this is only to show you how it works. Obviously, for a paid project, for instance, I would take some more time refining the edges. Now, don't forget to parent the masked layer to the original image, because we're gonna mess around with it a little bit. Okay, wait. When I recorded this, I completely forgot about this step. If you feel like the edges of your masking are too sharp, you can bring up the feathering by hitting F on your keyboard, and feather it just a little bit. Most of the time something like 3 to 8 works just fine. I'll take 3 for this. Now go on. Okay, so now let's get to the fun part, shall we? Highlight any of the non-composition layers, right click, go to Keyframe Assistant, and then choose Convert Audio to Keyframes. This will create this new null object in your composition, and guess what? Highlight it and hit U on your keyboard to bring all the keyframes of this layer. All the audio information throughout the whole project is now translated into keyframes that we now can work with. To be quite honest, I just recently found out about this function and I think it's pretty versatile. As you can see, we got information for left and right channel, as well as both channels. So if you want something in your animation that only reacts to a certain channel output, you can easily do it this way. But for now, we just delete them because we're only gonna work with both channels. Now, first thing first, highlight the original image layer, press S to bring up the scale values, and Alt-click the stopwatch. For the expression, simply use the pick whip and choose both channel slider, and hit Enter to see what we just did. Well, that's not really what we're after, is it? That is simply because the converted audio keyframes are quite small. If we put those for the scaling of our image, it will obviously shrink it way too much. So how do we work against that? Well, we simply add 100 to the expression, as 100% should be the minimum scale value for our image. Playing back, chances are it now will be way too big and way too shaky. So here comes another nifty trick that will do the magic for you. Go to both channel slider. Again, alt-click the stopwatch and type in linear, open brackets, pick whip the slider, then comma, 10, comma, 40, comma, 0, comma, 40, close the brackets, semicolon. Trust me, it sounds more complex than it actually is. So linear is just the keyword for our expression. By the way, you could also use ease instead, which pretty much works the same way. It just then eases the motion in between. The first value is telling After Effects to use every value it's going through in the following manner. The minimum value to be looked at is 10, and the max value will be 40. Then the expression will map all values of 10 and below to our minimum set value of 0, and everything of 40 or higher to 40. And why are we doing this? Well, we don't want our image to react all the time, right? So if the track is really silent, there is no need for it to be so jumpy. At the same time, we don't want to scale it up too much. And that's all the magic behind it. Now let's play back what we achieved so far. Well, it's still moving too much, isn't it? So we have two options here. We can either adjust the expression values up here or alter the output down here. So what we're gonna do is sort of compress the scale values for our image. And how do we do it? We'll simply go to the expression right before we add the 100 and divide this by, let's say, 50. So this will take all the values we get from the both channel slider, divide it by 50, and then add 100 to the scale. And now if we play it back, it already looks way better. Still think it's a little too much. So maybe go down to something like 30, because we don't want it to be too extreme, just really subtle. Yeah, that looks better to me. The only thing left to do now to achieve the same result we're looking for is adding a blur. So we add a Gaussian blur effect. Don't forget to check repeat edge pixels. Alt-click the blurriness stopwatch. Pick whip both channel slider and see what happens. As you can see, we have portions of the image that are not blurred. And that is because of the mask layer we added earlier. So we simply duplicate the Gaussian blur effect and add it to the masked version as well. But in my opinion, this is way too much blur, right? So go to the expression and again, divide this by, let's say, 10. Hit E twice on your keyboard to bring up the expressions of your layer. Divide this by 10 as well. And let's play back to see if we like it. Looking good to me. And with that, we're done. We actually did it. We took a two-dimensional plane animation, took another two-dimensional image, and melted those together into a 3D context. Who would have thought? I mean, yeah, I did. I mean, that's the point of the video, right? Anyways, thank you guys for watching this two-part series. If you like this format, why don't you drop a like to let me know. And also don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell to be notified for future videos. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.